All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into Spring Boot. If you're a Java developer, you've definitely heard of it. But what is it really? We're going to break down what makes it such a total game changer, the big messy problems it was designed to fix, and why, frankly, it's so critical for building apps today.
So to really get why Spring Boot was such a revolution, we got to go back in time. And honestly, not even that long ago. I'm talking about a time when just getting a simple Java application up and running, it was a nightmare. Just imagine a world of endless manual configs, super fragile setups, and just a million different ways your project could blow up before you wrote a single line of useful code.
And this slide, wow, this really lays out the pain, doesn't it? I mean, look at this. Just to get a basic app talking to a database, you had to manually install an application server, then go on a treasure hunt for the right database drivers, set up the connections, the connection pools, the whole 9 yards. And all of that was just the price of admission. It was all stuff you had to do before you could even think about your own application logic. And every single one of those steps was a brand new opportunity for everything to go completely wrong.
And then there was maybe the biggest headache of them all, managing all your dependencies. You know, the libraries your project needs. The source material calls it dependency whack-a-mole, and that is just the perfect analogy. You'd add one library, bam, it conflicts with another. You fix that one, pop, 2 more errors appear somewhere else. It was this maddening, endless game where there was no prize, you didn't win anything. You just lost hours and maybe a little bit of your sanity.
So, right into this mess, this world of pure complexity and frustration, in walks our hero, Spring Boot. It was built from the ground up to solve these exact problems. Its whole purpose was to just cut through all that noise and let developers, get back to doing what they're actually supposed to be doing, writing code that solves actual problems for actual people. Now, the core idea behind Spring Boot is something called convention over configuration. And really, it's a pretty simple but brilliant idea. It basically says, look, 90% of projects are set up in a very similar conventional way. So why on earth are we forcing developers to write hundreds of lines of the same boring boilerplate configuration code over and over and over again? Spring Boot just said, you know what? We'll handle that. And for any developer who is stuck writing that mind-numbing setup code, well, this was more than a gust of fresh air. It was like a hurricane of relief.
Okay, so how does it actually do it? How does Spring Boot pull off this magic trick? Well, it all comes down to 3 foundational features. And honestly, they're so powerful, I like to think of them as developer superpowers. So let's break them down, one by one.
All right, superpower number 1, starters. The best way to think about a starter is like a curated meal kit for your application. Instead of you having to go to the store and pick out every single ingredient yourself and just pray they all taste good together, a starter is a prepackaged bundle. It has all the libraries you need for a specific job, like building a web app. And here's the most important part. They've all been tested to work together perfectly. No more guesswork.
And I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. Before, your build file was this long, scary, messy list of individual libraries. And the worst part? You had to be the one to make sure all their versions actually worked together. Now, with Spring Boot, to build that entire web application, you just add one single line, Spring Boot Starter Web. That's it. It's over. Dependency whack-a-mole is officially dead.
Okay, that brings us to superpower number 2, executable jars. This is so cool. Spring Boot didn't just make it easier to find your dependencies, it made it way easier to run them. What it does is it packages your entire application, I'm talking your code, all those libraries from the starter, everything, into one single runnable file. And what does that mean? It means you don't need to install some big, clunky, external application server anymore. Everything you need is packed right inside that one file.
So remember that painful 6-step process we looked at a minute ago? Yeah? Well, with executable jars, poof, it's just gone. As long as you have Java installed on your machine, you can run your entire, fully featured application with one simple command. The difference in complexity isn't just big, it's absolutely massive.
And that brings us to our final superpower, and this is the one that really feels like straight-up magic. It's called auto-configuration. You can think of this as the brains of the whole operation.
It literally looks at the starters you added, it peeks into your project's list of libraries, and it has a little conversation with itself. It says, I see you've got the web starter in here. Well, you're probably going to need a web server then. Don't worry, I'll set one up for you. It makes all these smart decisions for you so you can just focus on your code.
So what does this actually do for you? Well, it means a huge boost in your productivity. Auto configuration gives you really smart, sensible defaults. It automatically creates the core building blocks, in Spring we call them beans, that your application is going to need. But, and this is the really important part, it's not a dictator, it's smart. The second you decide you want to do something your own way, the second you provide your own custom configuration, Spring Boot just sees that and says, okay, you got this, and it backs off. It gets out of your way. You are always in control.
So when you put these three superpowers together, you've got your starters for easy dependencies, your executable jars for simple deployment, and auto configuration to do all the heavy lifting. All of that tedious, repetitive, boring work is just gone. And that frees you up to focus on what actually matters, your business logic. You can build amazing things, and you can do it so much faster. And with that solid foundation, the sky is the limit. You can build pretty much anything you can imagine. We're talking standard REST APIs, really complex database-driven apps, even modern reactive systems built for massive scale. And then you can secure it all with Spring Security. You can plug into messaging systems like RabbitMQ or Kafka. It's not just a library, it's a whole universe of possibilities. A complete platform for any modern application.
And you're not locked into just one language either, which is awesome. Of course, Java is the bedrock, right? It's the solid foundation of Spring, and it's more stable and vibrant than it's ever been. But Kotlin is also treated as a total first-class citizen. People love it because it's so concise and safe. And here's the best part. You don't even have to pick one. You can literally mix and match Java and Kotlin code in the very same project. It just works.
Okay, so everything we've talked about so far is already incredible, right? But here's the kicker. Spring Boot isn't just about making old-school development easier. It was built from day one with the modern world in mind. We're talking about the cloud, we're talking about containers, we're talking about microservices.
So what does that actually look like? Well, how about getting your app ready for the cloud? It's ridiculously simple. You can turn your entire application into a container image, and you don't even have to write one of those complicated Docker files. Seriously, you just run a single command. That's it. Spring Boot takes care of the rest, using some cool tech to automatically build a secure, super optimized container image for you. And you know what the best part is? These container images it builds aren't some weird proprietary format. They are 100% compliant with the Open Container Initiative, the OCI standard. And what does that mean? It means they work everywhere. Docker, Kubernetes, you name it. Any major container system understands these images. It is a completely seamless, frictionless path from the code on your laptop straight into the cloud. Okay, let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways here? First, Spring Boot took all that historical, painful complexity of Java development and just solved it. Second, it gives you a massive productivity boost with those three superpowers: starters, auto-configuration, and executable jars. Third, it's a complete platform for building just about any modern application you can think of. And finally, it's built from the ground up for the cloud and for containers. It lets you focus on your ideas, not the plumbing. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most important question. Spring Boot takes care of all the boring stuff, right? The boilerplate, the plumbing, all that frustrating work that used to eat up so much time. It frees you up. So the only question left is, now that all that tedious work is out of the way, what amazing, complex, cool idea are you going to build next?